love our sponsors like Foothill Transit. They help make our show possible. Now on to the Morning Buzz. We have Trump as the presumptive candidate, and the GOP is
incorrect. And the fact that he's
GOP
actually accusing Hillary Clinton of trying to abolish the Second Amendment, which is obviously something that's in question whether or not she's actually said that or not. And
so I feel very fortunate that we have Manny Medrano here with
correct.
us today, and he is a criminal attorney, defense attorney.
Yes, I am.
With Medrano and Carlton, correct?
Founding partner, Medrano and Carlton in Pasadena, California. I do 100% state and federal criminal defense work.
So mostly white-collar crime then?
My focus is white-collar crime because I used to be a federal prosecutor for many years. But I do everything. Just tried a murder case recently, just tried a DUI case, and in 1 week I start a state embezzlement case in Rancho Cucamonga. So I do it all.
Here.
Very important line of work.
Well, it's important. Everyone deserves a good, competent lawyer. I believe that with all my heart.
I agree. And that's what the United States was really founded on, is
absolutely.
making sure we all have fairness. And so let's talk about what's fair and what's happening with Trump and Hillary, and is she going to demolish our Second Amendment rights or not?
Well, Trump does what Trump does, which includes throwing up a trial balloon and seeing how people react to it, even though it is utterly lacking in reliability and truthfulness. He keeps doing this. Let me give you an example. Oh, let me start over. With the Second Amendment, he's claiming that Hillary wants to eviscerate and get rid of the Second Amendment. Look, I'm a news hound. I read newspaper articles. I follow local and network news. I have not read or heard anyone saying that Hillary wants to eviscerate the Second Amendment. It's Trump doing what he does. He'll make some blatant false statement, see how people react to it, and then he'll modify it if needed. Let me give you an example of that. You may recall Trump early on in the primary races would say, immediately after 9/11, when the buildings came tumbling down, that there were people, Middle Eastern people, cheering on the streets in New York City. Utterly false statement, and he continues to adhere to it despite the fact that there's not one iota of evidence to back that up. So this claim about the Second Amendment and Hillary is just flat wrong, to be honest with you.
No, it's something that's just very normal when obviously we see this going into primary elections and everything like that. You know, you have to kind of put that out there and kind of put a little bit of shade on other people or light that's not necessarily positive. And in this case, it's kind of like, if I may say, when I've seen videos of Trump at his rallies, he will kind of do that comedian stance where he'll say something, wait a couple of seconds or a couple beats and see the response or the clap back from the crowd.
Well, it's kind of like courtroom antics, too. Have you ever seen in the courtroom where somebody does not have a case, and so it becomes the theatrics and some...
Well, look, I'm a trial lawyer. You know, I've tried 63 jury trials, so the theatrics, if we can call it that, are absolutely critical to performance in a courtroom. But let me just say this, having tried all those jury trials, I think the jurors in my cases and the American voter have a lot in common, and that is they're smart, they have a lot of common sense, and the second, I believe, that a candidate is lacking in genuineness and what they're saying does not resonate as true, a juror turns off, as does an American voter. And you want to get back to the Second Amendment claim by Mr. Trump, because what is true is that Hillary Clinton has supported some measures with regard to gun control, a lot of measures which Republicans agree with, for example, a universal background check. And guess what? You can't own and use an AK-47 automatic weapon. I mean, seriously, who would disagree with that?
Right, and the important things too, as far as once somebody is on a mental health hold, 5150, that a gun would be removed from the household.
Right,
too.
So Hillary definitely has supported that sort of stuff, but here's the irony of crazy Trump making this allegation with regard to the Second Amendment and Hillary Clinton, because he himself in the past has supported gun control measures. Okay, so that's the irony here. But then, if you ask Trump about that, he'll either say, "Oh, I don't remember doing that," or "You're wrong," or "You're lying."
Yeah, and that's
what
one
Trump
thing.
does.
I think any article that you can read out there actually says that. You know, and not only that, but the fact that a spokesperson for Hillary was actually able to say, you know, this is not true. These allegations are not correct. And usually, sometimes they'll stay quiet if something might be a little bit iffy. But in this case, they actually support that. No, indeed, it has not been said. And yes, Trump has supported these bans in some way or form in the past. So it's just kind of one of these things that goes up there,
Well,
and it's
right, and it's not like the court of law where you're under penalty and perjury.
Well, that's true. If you're a witness, right? That's
right.
absolutely true. But the whole thing is remarkable, and it's as we get closer to the finish line and the November election, I'm going to find very interesting to see how these two candidates, and it is going to be Trump, by the way, and it is going to be Hillary, with all due respect to
believe you're
Mr.
correct
Sanders,
on
that it'll be fascinating to see how they go at one another. One of my predictions is that whoever the VP selection for Hillary Clinton, that's going to be an attack dog, whether it's a male or female, a person who can be out there every day pummeling Trump the way Trump has been pummeling everybody else. Because if the Democrats learn one thing about the primary process and the 16 GOP candidates that started, and there's only one man standing now, and that what they've learned is you cannot sit idle and not respond to Trumpisms.
Correct.
If you do not fire back, you're dead. So I can assure you that the Democrats have that in their playbook now. But the VP candidate for Hillary is going to be someone who's going to have zero hesitation in going after Trump with everything that person has.
And I think she's been getting better at kind of throwing it back at him too.
Absolutely,
so.
and she needs to. You know,
Right.
you can't lay low when you're attacked by Trump. People
Right.
perceive you as weak.
Right.
You can't do that.
Manny Medrano, thank you so much for being on
Thank
with
you.
us.
Mary
Really
Frank, it was a
appreciate it.
pleasure.
thank you very much, and you definitely have to come back and talk about that attack dog.
I will.
Oh, yeah.
And up next, we have a Republican candidate for U.S. Senate.
That's right. Tom Del Beccaro will be on with us to talk about his campaign and how things are moving in his arena. Up next.